turn that on. Okay. Since we're starting late at my fault, I'm going to give you that extra time too.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. So, how have you been?
Well, currently right now I'm feeling out of breath, and I really did not want to come today, but I was like, well, maybe today can assist whatever I'm going through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just feeling tired and just feeling lost and confused, and yeah, it's been yeah. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. That's a big nut. Oh, you've been on my mind recently, so for good reasons. Yeah, not because things are going badly, you've just been on my mind. When that happens, I send blessings to people. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to start with whatever body part wants attention and we'll see where it leads us. Does that sound okay to you?
Sounds good.
Okay. So what I want to do is just kind of set up a sacred space and put you in a little bit of a different state. So I want you to pay attention to your body in the chair and how it supports you. And notice the boundary between your body and the chair, and how your body sinks into the chair, and how the chair comes up to meet your body. Settling really into the chair. And then let your mind drift to the floor and notice that the floor supports the chair solid. And then let your mind drift to the foundations of the building and how they're planted solidly in the earth and how they support the solidity of the floor and support the chair. And then let your mind drift down to the earth, Mother Earth. Mother Earth, who is always present. We often think of Mother Earth as separate, but we are cells within Mother Earth. That Mother Earth is a being that we are part of, like cells in our body are part of us. We are part of Mother Earth and are never separate from her. And that we don't fly off into space because we are part of her body in this three-dimensional world where she is doing her work. And so we are supported, deeply supported by Mother Earth, supported by the foundation of the building, supported by the floor, supported by the chair. And in your mind's eye, just notice where the sun rises in the east each morning and travel with your mind across the sky to where it sets in the west. And notice where where the direction of south is and where the direction of north is. And you sit in the middle of this geographic and temporal space here Tuesday, June 19th, 2 days away from the solstice. And the energy of the solstice is building. And notice if you feel into the sun and your position in this place, in this third dimension. The sun is building toward the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, and the power of that light is available to you. The solstice light is available to you. And so noticing that that is part of today, Tuesday, June 19th. And it's from this place of presence of here and now in geographic, dimensional, and temporal space that we can go anywhere to any time, any space, any dimension from this place of location. And so calling in the helpers, those that are willing to come today for Adam. Jesus has showed up in a powerful way since our last one. He's here. He's really here in a powerful way. Archangel Michael is here. Mother Mary's on your left and Magdalene's on your right. They have all gathered. A chicken is here for some reason. I don't know why. It's clucking at your feet. And a cat is here. And so, with all these helpers and ancestors that are arriving, that are here to help with gratitude, there's a grandmother that's come. And a grandfather. He said he's three generations back, so he would be your great great grandfather. You probably don't know him, but he's here. And so I'm going to arrive, if that's okay. Just come into your space. I'm feeling called to your right side, if that's okay. Yeah, your body knows me now, so there isn't any resistance, which is nice. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to tune into your body and let me know what part of your body is calling to you.
Uh, um, the lower right side of my back.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, and I'm also feeling, feels to me like it's kidney. Is that true? I wonder. Let me see. Is it closer to your spine or is it in the middle? Where would you say it is?
It's off to the side, like um, where my hip would be, like.
Okay, so it's a little higher than the kidney. So I'm just going to place my hand there, and then I'm feeling called to place my other hand in front and the front of your body in the same location. Okay, so that, and all I'm doing is offering your body energy. It can take it or not. And let's just see what happens. I'm feeling called by the heart, so I'm just going to take my right hand and put it in the heart. I'm leaving my left hand on your lower back. And if it's okay, I'll just put my other one on your heart in the front. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just offering energy, not pushing, not pulling, just offering. So I'd like you to tune into this place on your lower back and just kind of tell me what you're noticing more specifically.
Sore, achy contraction.
Okay. Does it feel like muscular or does it feel in the organs, or what are you noticing if you really allow your attention to drift there?
Feels more like muscle.
Okay. Your body on that spot is hesitant to take energy. Your heart is taking quite a bit, but this part of your body is, oh, there it goes. And if you receive any images or any memories or anything, will you let me know? We're just going to see what's here.
Okay.
I'm getting this is really young, 2, 3 years old is what I'm being told. Does anything you recall anything around that time of life? Many people don't. I'm just asking.
Is there something specific that's
Yeah,
coming
I
through?
mean, it's something. Is anything coming to mind? And it may not. So I'm just
No.
asking.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I'll just tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a dock that goes out into a lake. I don't know what that means, but like a place you would fish, it looks like. You're enclosed, so it doesn't look like you're going swimming or anything like that. I'm getting the impression you fish here, or your dad fishes here, or one of your relatives fish here. It's a common place. I'm just offering energy to this place on your lower back, down by your hip, and also on the heart. And we don't need to know the specifics of the story. The body will release stuff when it's ready. That's the beauty. So I'm just inviting the body to release when it's ready. You've got the support that you need. We have all the time that you need for this. And your heart's taking quite a bit of energy. So is this spot now. I feel like my hand is cupped. Um, like it's drying out something. So we'll see what your body needs. And what are you noticing in the hip? I mean, down in this lower part of your back.
Feels softer.
Yeah,
The pain isn't as pronounced. I'm feeling very, 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 very warm.
yeah.
My whole body feels like it's on fire.
Okay, so I'm going to back off a little bit because I'm probably giving you too much energy.
It's not just you. This is um, all day today. Since
Okay,
I've woken up, I just feel very, very
hot.
warm. Yeah, very hot, and like my breath is I can't catch my breath. I don't know.
And
Yeah,
where do you feel that? Is that in the diaphragm or where are you feeling that? If you look into your breath, where are you feeling that?
feels like my chest
Okay.
and diaphragm. It just feels like the muscles are tired and weak.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask who will do this? Magdalene's going to do the where my hand is on your lower back. She's going to place some energy there. And I'm going to go and work on, it feels to me like it's the diaphragm. So I'm just going to put, if that's okay with you, I'm going to put both hands in front where the diaphragm is and just offer some energy. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
And then I'm going to ask that I want you to imagine like a camera lens at the top of your head at your crown chakra and imagine it opening like a lens would and allowing the heat to release at the right rate. So the camera lens will only open as far as it needs to. And then heat from the body will just be released through the top of your head. And I'm just placing my hands on the diaphragm just to give it some support. Offering energy to the diaphragm on either side. My hands are in the front, so just so you know, they're in the front. Magdalene has a hand right on that lower part of your back. Mother Mary's at your feet. She's holding energy at your feet. So allowing some of the heat to go out your feet. So there's a there's a space for heat to release through your feet, and there's a space at the top of your head for heat to release. And know you can use this anytime when you're feeling overheated. You can open up the camera lens. Just offering some energy to your diaphragm. It's been working so hard. Just offering some energy there as a support. And tell me a little more about your diaphragm. What are you noticing?
It's difficult to activate the muscles down there.
Yeah. So you don't, all I'm doing is just going to give you some energy and resilience in your diaphragm. So your diaphragm doesn't have to work quite so hard. So imagine your diaphragm is just taking a little bit of a vacation and you don't have to move it. The energy I'm providing will just move it. So it doesn't have to operate on its own. I'm offering the energy it needs to operate. Oh, something's being released. I'm seeing a rubber band, one of those really wide industrial ones that has been pulled too tight for too long and it's losing some of its elasticity, is what I'm seeing. And so I'm just offering it some renewed life, some renewed energy, helping it to repair. Wow. Well, the Arturians have arrived. They don't normally arrive for me, but they have, and you've got the right color shirt on for them to arrive. The color they use is the similar color to your shirt. And so they're now working on the diaphragm, which is a blessing. So if I were to ask you a question, I give me the first answer that comes, even if it's really silly. So what are you holding here? First thing that comes.
Sexual energy.
Okay. And is it yours or is it are you holding it for somebody else? First thing that comes.
Myself.
So I'd like to talk to this sexual energy. Okay.
Okay.
You are a blessing because you continue life, but you're being held in the wrong place. And so, are you willing to go to the right place? And what are you hearing?
You want my first response? I have no fucking clue.
That's probably the problem, right?
Uh, you want my first responses? Usually I filter, so
Yeah, you can tell me anything because it'll help. It'll help.
it just feels like there's just a tremendous amount of something in the body that I just I've been holding on to, and it feels it's like a build up, like a pressure cooker,
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm just about to explode.
yeah. And
Like I,
so,
I, I, I can't hold on to this any longer.
yeah. So, what I'd like you to do is take that energy and form it into a ball in front of you, an energy ball in front. So, imagine that energy moving from your diaphragm and under your diaphragm. Imagine it moving into a ball in front of you. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to talk to this because we're going to disperse it. Okay. Can you say to this energy, thank you for serving me? Because you're part of life energy.
Thank you for serving me because you are the source of energy. You're
Yeah,
the source of life.
yeah.
And I just have to say, I'm scared of you.
Yeah, I'm really scared of you.
I'm really scared of you.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to get lost into you. I'm afraid you're going to pull me into this abyss.
yeah. I'm overwhelmed by holding on to you.
I am overwhelmed by holding on to you.
And so I'm going to place you on my altar and honor you and hold you there. So imagine it coming onto your altar. Do you have an object you can place it in
Hmm.
that's nearby that makes sense to you?
Yeah.
Say, I place you in this object
I place you in this object
and to honor the life force that you offer.
to honor the life force that you offer,
And I will honor you there.
and I will honor you there.
You are too much for me to hold in my body.
You are too much for me to hold on to you in the body.
Yeah. And so I place you in this object and honor you there.
I place you in this object and honor you there.
Yeah. And when and if I'm ready,
And when and if I'm ready,
I will take small sips of you into my body.
I will take small sips of you into the body.
Yeah. Okay. And see yourself then putting that object and have it in a special place. If you don't have an altar, you just have it in a special place. And for 7 days, you just honor it for being held there. And you just keep it there till you're ready. And you don't have to take it all in because it is too much. You can take small sips of it as one of the mechanisms of life support, but small sips. And if it gets overwhelming, you can add that overwhelm back into the crystal or whatever you put it in. I don't know what you put it in. I'm thinking crystal, but I don't know what you put it in. But know the object can hold it. And all you need to do is honor the life force of it with gratitude and honor and respect. Thank you for holding my life force. A part of my life force. It's not your whole life force.
Thank you for holding a part of my life force.
That's overwhelming.
That is overwhelming.
Yeah. I honor you for this.
I honor you for this,
And I honor this energy.
and I honor this energy.
And now when you go down by your diaphragm, what are you noticing?
Um,
You
it's
may not
still
notice. Go ahead.
it just it's still difficult to activate,
Yeah,
and so I'm breathing through my chest, which is
yeah,
causing the feeling like I'm out of breath.
yeah. And so I'm still have my hands down at the diaphragm. I have a couple crystals that I'm putting here also to magnify the energy. Does it feel okay or is it too strong?
No, it's okay.
Okay. And the arterians are doing something with your diaphragm also, doing some kind of repair. So we're just going to hold this and allow your diaphragm to rest and repair. There's a lot of stale energy in the bottom of your lungs.
When you yawn, I cannot help but laugh. I think it's
I'm releasing the air for you.
uh,
There's a lot of stale energy in the bottom of your lungs.
and by laughing, I can just feel the I can feel the expansion. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm here to serve. I'm glad I can release it. It's almost thick. That's why it's so hard. It's not mucus. It's just like the air is thick, and it takes a lot of force to push it out. So that's why I guess I'm yawning for you.
So good.
I have my diaphragm is what is called a for me is a chronic trauma space where I stuff a lot of trauma is in my diaphragm. So I've been working on my diaphragm for a long time.
Mm.
It's starting to feel less dense. I don't know if you're feeling that, but I'm feeling like it's not as dense as it was at the bottom. And so, what I'm being drawn to do is putting my hands as if I'm inside your body and I'm cupping the bottom of your lungs.
This might be some ancient stuff. There's a lot of releasing.
I think there's a lot here. Yeah.
I'm grateful. I just want to be honest. I'm grateful for this because it's been um, just building up and building up. So it's perfect.
Yeah, it's just it's not evil energy or anything. It's just stale and dense, and so it's hard to pump out. So I've got crystals in my hands that are helping me. Your diaphragm won't have to work so hard when this is when we have released all this. When spirit tells me we're done, then what I'm going to do is we're going to start filling this with higher resonance energy so it doesn't feel so heavy. I'm still not done yet. It's clear. The added benefit is I'm clearing my own lungs at the same time. So we have a twofer going here.
Healing your diaphragm too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Helping
two,
clear my lungs because I tend to breathe out of my chest anyway. I don't take a lot of deep breaths. So
or two or more are gathered. And
oh, see the amazing miracle of it. Such a miracle. I go to other people for my own healing too. It just we can't do it all of it on our own. It's real clear to me. Did any of your relatives have TB? Do you know? I'm just curious.
television.
TB.
Oh, TB, tuberculosis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
There's some kind of lung disease that's here. So it's just being cleared away. You don't have to do anything. I'm getting this sound. Papa, papa. Like these tubas are playing, it's kind of this really odd sound. I was just asking if I could put drains in the bottom of your lungs, but I was told no. It has to come out like air, is what they're saying. Sometimes you can put energetic drains in a part of your body if you need it to drain out, and the will drain. But this says it has to come out as air. I said, okay. I have a healing animal that sometimes comes with me. It's a white snowy owl, and she's at the bottom of your lungs, and she's flapping her wings to help move the air. I haven't seen her show up for quite a while. I'm amazed she's here. I'm going to ask Mary to Mary, I'm just going to ask Mother Mary just to put a hand on your heart, if that's okay.
Hmm.
because some of what this is grief, unresolved grief is in the lungs. Some deep grief is down here. That's why I was drawn to the heart first. So after we're done, I'm being told if you are called to cry, don't, and you wonder where the hell is this coming from? It's just coming from the grief that was stuck in your lungs. So just know that's where it's going to come from. It may not show up, but if it does, don't be concerned because it'll feel like it's not anchored to anything.
I'm getting this image of like going on a boat and leaving the dock and just feeling that feeling of panic of not having land or just being out without support, without like anything, all alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting a watery image also. I'm getting, with the lungs, there's a watery thing. So just to let you know, in your boat, there's all kinds of spirits. They're reminding me they're in the boat with you. But I'm also quite aware that it physically feels like you're all alone. Like there's a sense of here and now of being alone. Well, that's helping. That image is helping it release. Getting in touch with that grief is helping. I'm being told, and I don't know that this will be of any comfort, but what I'm being told is um, it's how to say this. You're only given um, as much as you can manage, which tells me you have signed up for such a big thing and you have a big capacity, but that there are times when it feels so overwhelming and alone, like carrying it is just all by yourself is too much. And that it's important to ask for help in terms of sharing this big load. And I'm not talking so much physical help because it's clear you have some physical help. It's about the emotional help of carrying this huge load. And when you and I sit together, we share the load. And it's when it's shared, then it can be released. Yeah, I don't think I can unmute you. Let me see. No, you can only unmute yourself. I thought maybe I could do it. Spirit does interesting things during sessions. So let me just ask. There we go. And leave yourself unmuted. So it's so just to give you a trick, you can ask Thor to come in and work with the electronics because he's the god of thunder and lightning. And so I just asked him, can you please unmute? I've learned that I on my own there's a lot there's as much as I can do unless I ask for help. We're almost done with the lung clearing. There's still some there, but we're getting to some grief is what we're getting to. And thank you for the boat image because it tells me the direction we're going in. I can only imagine how much you carry, what you've chosen in this life to experience, and how hard and how isolating it must feel. And I'm honored to walk on the journey with you. It's an honor and a privilege. So what I'd like you to imagine with your boat, and at the front of the boat, there is a rope that's connected to the other side. And on the other side, and this is not death and life, it's just life. On the other side, your boat is being pulled to shore. And there's all of these spirits and people you haven't met yet pulling the boat to the other side. So know that the boat is headed in a direction. It's just that you can't see the shore yet. But there is a rope that's clear to me. There's a rope connected to the front of the boat. And there are not just spirits, there's people. There's people you haven't met yet pulling the boat to the other side. It's so what I'm sensing is like a fog. You can't see the other side, but there is movement to the other side. If you just while you sit in the boat, feel that it's slowly moving. And it's moving as fast as you can manage it. Spirit is really good to us, that it doesn't speed us along so we fall out of the boat. It's going as fast as your emotional system can manage it. But there is another side. This experience is not in vain, by the way. There's something that you will be offering with it. You already do, but there's something you will really be offering from this experience to others. And it's going to get clearer and clearer to you as you get closer to the other side. And know that that's true. It's only when we're out in the middle and have no sides that are available to us that it's so painful. Because it feels like we're going nowhere. Yay! You're clearing your own lungs. But clearly I still have a role. I yawn so hard my eyes water. The first time I tried plant ayahuasca, I've only done it twice and I won't do it again because it's really hard on the body. I yawned for 5.5 hours straight. Big yawning, clearing, clearing, clearing. I yawned so much that my rib cage hurt. It was an amazing experience. So I'm good at yawning.
You can yawn for me anytime. I'm wondering if there's if we're getting any images of like me like drowning or something like with water and being saved or something where like I'm coughing up water or like drowning or something like that. I don't know. There's just this image of the water and um just being afraid or something like
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
I think you fell off the dock when you were 2 or 3. There's something about you being 2 or 3 and falling into water. I don't know what that means, but that's what I saw. And it could be a past life or it could be this one. But the pain in your back that you were noticing was coming from there. The boat is a real clear, what Spirit's telling me about the boat is that it's showing the journey across to the other side. So you're actually more in the middle of the lake than the other side. So it's scariest in the middle because there's no shore available. You're just in the boat. And so it's really can be overwhelming and so isolating. It feels so like you're abandoned by everything. And that always happens in the middle. But they showed me a clear picture of a rope at the front of the boat and that it's being pulled. So just know that you're headed in a direction of purpose and that there's not only spirits on the other side of that, but there's people, there's actual people you're going to meet are helping pull the boat to the other side. I have no idea who they are. There's about 4 or 5 of them. I don't think you know them. I think these are people that are going to be coming into your life, but they're energetically pulling you across the water. And they're going to help you define your purpose. You'll know clearly what it is as you get closer to the other side. I don't see what it is. I have a sense it's a purpose to serve others. And I'm not sure what that means, whether it's you teaching, whether it's you creating something. I don't know what it is. It's from your life experience where you're going to help others. And I don't know what that means because you're in the middle of the lake where it's the deepest part. They call this kind of the dark night of the soul, where everything feels like you're abandoned, and life feels very empty and dark. And it's the deepest part of any transition. And just to know that it's clear to me people are pulling on the other side. So you're not going to be here much longer, is what I'm hearing. But it's also not going to be a fast transition. Oh, they're telling me when you're out in the middle of the lake, it's a slow transition, but as you get closer to shore, it speeds up. So it feels like nothing's moving, but it is. I'm being told to let you know it is moving. You will not always be here. You're headed in the right direction. The hardest part is not to give up hope. The lungs are much better. How are you feeling with your lungs? They're much better. It'll take you a while to reach down into the deeper parts of your lungs, but there all the mucky stuff is cleared out.
Yeah, it feels a little better.
Yeah. It's going to take a while to feel the lightness of it. So what I'd like you to do is imagine. I'm waiting for Mother Mary to tell me what she wants you to do. So just a minute. She said, imagine her hands underneath the bottom of your lungs. And what she's offering is just light. So there's whatever color, I'm getting green. So that's kind of an odd color, but I'm getting green for life. So just imagine this green light is starting at the bottom of your lungs and it's full of life energy. And she's offering it to you. So she's got her hands at the bottom of your lungs. And it's not a heavy dark green, it's a light green of spring, that spring color of the grass first coming up. And just imagining this green light of higher resonance, just starting at the bottom of your lungs and just filling them with this green light. And so it's at the bottom. And it's healing any of the um, not scarring. There's something, the residual. Let me just say the residual. It's lifting anything that's left and converting it into this green light, which is a higher resonance. And she's going to continue doing this for the next 5 days, she said. So it'll just start getting lighter and lighter as you get used to this resonance of the lower part of your lungs changing. Because there's a body, there's a body memory of this heaviness settling in the bottom of your lungs. So it's just going to take you a while to get used to this and this energy shift in the bottom of your lungs. And your diaphragm is being prepared. I'm looking. So the Arcturian is going to come at night. They won't be there during the day, but they'll be coming at night and they'll be working on your diaphragm and repairing it because it feels like it's been stretched to a point of almost um, not breaking, but it's of not being able to pump air, if that makes sense. And so they're repairing the diaphragm. And so they'll be coming at night and repairing the diaphragm. So your diaphragm is just going to get better and better. And remember, the energy that it was trying to hold back is sitting in the crystal or whatever thing you put it in, and it'll just hold it there. And you can take sips of that life, just sips. So tell me how you're doing.
Um, I don't know.
That is a great answer.
I guess by me laughing, that's a good sign. I
Yeah.
think just the what you told me about the being on the boat and there's the rope and people on the other side really I just got emotional because I just felt like this is not going to be forever.
Yeah.
It felt like since Thursday last week it's been like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because you're in the
we're
middle of the lake.
yeah, it
Once you
just
hit the middle of the lake, it feels like there's nothing.
yeah.
Trust me, I've been in the middle of the lake, so I know what the middle of the lake feels like. It's the deepest and the darkest. And unfortunately, you can only make the journey. People can help you along the way, but you can only make the journey. But I know that I saw the rope clearly, and there are, I don't know, let me see how many. 5 people are waiting to meet you. They're helping pull you across the lake. So there's not just spirits, there's actually 5 human beings that you will meet that will help you craft what your purpose is or craft your direction, or it'll all become clear, is what they're saying. And I said, what's going to become clear? And they said, it's none of your business. It's sort of like I'm a seer, so I can see into the future, but some things I'm not allowed to see. It's like when I read the Akashic records, there's stuff that I'm not allowed to see because it's none of my business. And sometimes they'll come right out and say it's none of your business. They'll just let me see pieces of it. So it's for you to know that it's there. And all of this will become clear. You're in one of the big major transitions of your life. On the other side, everything will be look different. So while it feels very isolating and alone and very like there feels like nothing is there, it is the most profound part of the journey, I will tell you, because you're expanding into something that you cannot sense a boundary and you cannot sense a presence. So there's a big expansion that's occurring. Unfortunately, during the expansion, it feels like there's no direction without the boundaries. So I went through this phase of being a born again Christian. So I was talking in tongues and doing all this kind of stuff. I mean, God became real to me, where before it was just kind of, yeah, of course there's God, but God was actually very personal and very real to me. And I would pray and things would automatically happen. And then all of a sudden, I didn't feel anything. And I was so devastated. And someone explained it to me this way. And so it might be an interesting metaphor for you to ponder. So they said you were put into a teacup and you filled the teacup with all of this sense of spirit and life and connection. And God wanted you to get bigger and serve more. So they poured the teacup of water into a swimming pool where there was no sense of being in the water. And that the swimming pool would fill. But while I was poured in the water, there was no sense of anything. Like I was all alone and God wasn't real anymore and nothing was real and nothing was supportive. And it just
God.
felt dark. So something's filling. That's another metaphor. The other metaphor is there's a pull that's coming. You won't be here forever. So just know that as you empty out and resolve some of this trauma, letting go of some of this stuff, there's an expansion that's occurring also. It's a gift of grace, but it feels like shit.
Yes, to put it lightly, yes. Perfect, yes.
And there isn't there feels like there's no comfort. So I also know that as well. I know how deep it feels for you. I've been there. So I have extreme empathy for where you are. And I also know that there is another side, and it's you're being pulled toward it. But when you're in the deepest part, the momentum is the slowest because there's so much water. I don't know if that makes sense, but the momentum is so much slower when you're in the middle. And then as you get closer to shore, the momentum picks up and then it goes pretty fast. But in the middle, it feels like you barely move an inch.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, there is movement. So it's helpful. It may be helpful for when things feel really dark to remember there's a rope that's connected to the boat and you are making progress to the other side. And when you get closer, these individuals who are helping to pull the boat will start showing up in your life. There'll be a very different kind of people that will be around you. Just so you'll be amazed at how you start calling in different people with a different vibration and a different clarity for you. It'll be amazing. And so I'm going to take my hands off your body for now. One last yawn for the road. So the Arcturians will be working with you at night. And Mother Mary's providing this green light into your lungs. So that'll continue for 5 days. So your body will start feeling better and better in terms of breath. If you start crying for it feels like for no reason, or even if there is a reason, know that that's part of this releasing out of the lungs. So it's a good thing. Yawning is also a good thing because it helps move the breath.
Yeah.
And for 7 days, you need to honor that crystal that's holding this energy for you. Then when you want a little more energy of life, you can take a sip from the crystal. Just say, can you offer me a sip? And it will. You don't have to hold what is too much. And so we're going to come back from this altered state, just allowing yourself to feel into your body here and now. That it is today, June 19th. We're only a few days from the solstice. And it's an interesting thing to bring the solstice light into your body and welcome it, because it is the most powerful energy of the whole year is the solstice energy. And the solstice is on the 21st. It starts at midnight on the 20th. So allowing yourself to just imagine how the solstice energy and light is just coming through your pores and energizing your body. It's a real interesting way to take in the light. You can also, if you can, go outside for 5 or 10 minutes and allow your body to drink in the light also. It's very powerful. And so, is there any other things you'd like to say before we close? And I will call the blessing field.
No, that's good.
Okay, so I call the blessing field for Adam. that arrive like the light of the solstice with gentleness yet power, and that the power of the solstice will enliven and bring clarity to Adam as he goes on his journey, and allows him to feel the hope of the light, of the fullness of the light, and find solace there as he makes the journey through the dark. And so it is. And so it is. And so it
So it is.
Yeah. And blessings to you.
Thank you, Paulette.
You are so very, very welcome. And it was a pleasure and an honor as usual. We never know what's showing up. That's my joy and meeting with you. We always have interesting experience.
Thank you for the laughs.
Yeah. You take care.
You too. Until next time.
Until next time. Bye bye.